Welcome, deep divers. There's some phrases, aren't there? Things you hear everywhere,
Mm,
etched on plaques, maybe whispered in quiet moments. You hear them in movies, and they seem so simple.
right. Deceptively simple sometimes.
Exactly. But underneath, there's just this profound depth, a real roadmap for life's tough spots. We're talking, of course, about the Serenity Prayer.
Ah, yes. Such powerful
Just
words.
few lines, right. But somehow, it feels like a complete philosophy for living. It's kind of amazing.
It really is remarkable. You find it everywhere, from very personal struggles right up to, global recovery movements. And despite its origins being a little debated sometimes, it's just permeated so many lives. A real beacon.
Yeah, a beacon. That's a good word for it. It's this paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
So short, but it covers so much ground.
Completely comprehensive, yeah.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, you, our listener, you brought us some fascinating stuff. We've got foundational text from AA, from Al-Anon places that have really, adopted this prayer.
The core texts.
Plus, we have some really personal reflections, even some psychological takes on it. So our mission today, we want to unpack where it came from, sure, but really dive into the wisdom in those three parts.
Serenity, courage, and wisdom.
Serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and that crucial third part, wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
And what we're finding is this isn't just like a comforting phrase, it's a whole guide, a kind of operating manual for anyone trying to find peace in, well, a pretty chaotic world.
That's a great way to put it, an operating manual. It offers tools, real practical tools, not just for dealing with what life throws at you, but for finding that inner peace, for, genuine growth. It's a whole toolkit for well-being.
Okay, so let's jump into the origins.
Yeah.
Because this is where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit surprising for some people.
Right.
While we totally associate the Serenity Prayer with Alcoholics Anonymous, it feels like it's part of their DNA, didn't actually write it.
That's a key point, and it often catches people off guard. It highlights something really important about AA, though it's spiritual flexibility, its inclusiveness.
How so?
Well, AA adopted the prayer. Bill W., one of the co-founders, he talked about this later. Back in 1955, at their big coming-of-age convention, he made a point of, setting the record straight. He wanted to acknowledge where their ideas came from.
Giving credit.
Exactly.
Okay.
Especially to groups like the Oxford Group. Now, the Oxford Group, they were this Christian-focused spiritual movement, big in the early 20th century, not really about strict dogma, more about personal experience.
Okay.
They pushed these four absolutes: absolute honesty, purity, unselfishness, love. And crucially, they stressed taking a hard look at yourself, confessing your shortcomings, making things right with people you'd harmed. You can see the connection, right?
Oh, absolutely. That sounds like the bedrock for a lot of the steps.
It really was. They provided the spiritual toolkit, but without insisting on a specific church or doctrine. That was huge.
That context helps a lot. It explains why this prayer clicked so well. And Bill W.'s own story, his spiritual awakening back in late 34, that was heavily influenced by his friend Ebby, right?
Totally. Ebby had gotten sober himself, and he told Bill, look, you got to get honest, you got to make restitution for the past, and you got to pray. Pray for guidance, pray for strength, even if you weren't sure about God. Especially then. Ebby apparently said things like, I found I couldn't run my own life, and I had to pray, even though I wasn't sure there was any God. That really hit home for Bill, who was desperate. And that honesty, praying for help, Ebby found it, released him from the craving.
Wow. So the prayer's appeal was kind of universal beyond specific religion. That fit AA perfectly.
Perfectly. AA needed something spiritually potent, but totally non-denominational. Bill W. himself, he'd kind of struggled with the whole getting religion idea initially, but Ebby's sobriety, that was real. He couldn't argue with it.
Right. Facts on the ground.
Yeah. And the prayer's phrasing, God as we understood him, that was genius. It aligned perfectly with AA's core idea. Find a higher power that works for you. Could be God, could be nature, the universe, even the AA group itself.
That flexibility was key.
Absolutely essential. It meant nobody felt excluded based on their beliefs or lack thereof. It offered a spiritual path without dogma.
And looking at the prayer itself, the structure, it's more than just nice words. It feels really deliberate. Serenity, courage, wisdom. It's like a system.
It absolutely is a structured approach, a holistic guide to dealing with life. Each part tackles a fundamental piece of the human struggle, Acceptance, action, discernment. It's a complete package.
Not just a mantra, like you said earlier. It's a roadmap.
Exactly. The 12 steps themselves are described as adding up to a logical and livable way of life. The Serenity Prayer is like the pocket version of that. It distills the essence.
Okay, I like that, the pocket version.
It tells you what to focus on acceptance or change how to approach it with serenity or courage, and when using wisdom to know the difference, it frames the journey.
Okay, let's dive into that first part then. Serenity to accept the things we cannot change. This feels like the starting block. But honestly, admitting powerlessness, it sounds like defeat, like giving up.
It does, doesn't it? And the texts even call it an amazing paradox, because that's where the real work, the real liberation starts. Strength actually comes from admitting that utter defeat, accepting the devastating weakness.
That's step one in AA, right? We admitted we were powerless over alcohol.
That our lives had become unmanageable.
Yes.
Yes, it's the core. You have to first admit you can't fix it on your own. It's not about being weak, it's about seeing reality clearly.
Yeah.
Admitting you're powerless over alcohol or whatever the issue is, that surrender is the foundation you build on.
You have to stop fighting the unwinnable battle first.
Precisely. Before you can even think about winning the bigger war for your life.
And the stories you found, they really bring this home. Like the person trying willpower alone. I didn't drink Tuesday, didn't drink Wednesday.
So I went out Friday and got drunk.
Yeah. Heartbreaking, right? It shows how sheer willpower just often isn't enough against something so deep-rooted.
Or that story about the blackouts. Selling property and having no memory.
Terrifying. Selling 6 lots. Had to look up the buyers in the phone book later. That's a stark, undeniable loss of control.
Wow.
Then there's the political figure doing crazy, asinine things, drunk, and later realizing deep down, I wanted to be caught. A subconscious cry for help, knowing he couldn't stop himself.
These stories really show that illusion of control you mentioned, thinking you've got it handled right until you obviously don't.
Exactly. They keep trying to manage it, control the quantity, the timing, but it keeps slipping away.
But this isn't just about alcohol, is it? This powerlessness, this acceptance.
Yeah.
It applies way more broadly.
Oh, absolutely. Think about Al-Anon. For families and friends of alcoholics, one of their key principles is, I have no control over other people's reactions or thoughts.
That's huge. Just realizing that alone could change everything for someone. It's revolutionary for relationships, definitely. But think about other things, too. Change itself. Job loss, illness, aging, even just, the world changing around us. Stuff we can't directly control.
Right.
There's a story about someone who was terrified of change, just dreaded it. Through Al-Anon, they learn, I am powerless over alcoholism and many other things. I've also learned that change is inevitable.
Acceptance becomes a tool for navigating all that uncertainty.
Exactly. Think of the energy you save when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable. The weather, the economy, other adults' choices. Accepting you can't dictate those things. That's where serenity starts to creep in. It lifts a massive burden.
So acceptance often leads to that next piece, letting go and trusting something beyond yourself, a higher power. Step 2. Right?
Yes. Step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Or, as another source puts it, since we could not restore ourselves, some higher power must necessarily do so if we were to survive.
But that term, higher power, can be a sticking point for people. What does it really mean if you're, say, atheist or agnostic?
And that's the brilliance of it, the flexibility. It has to be flexible for something so personal. For some, the higher power is their AA group, the collective wisdom, the support there.
Okay.
For others, maybe it's nature, the universe, guiding principles, or, a traditional God. The point isn't the label. The point is realizing your will alone isn't enough.
That self-will run riot idea.
Exactly. That relentless belief that I have to be in charge even when the evidence shows it's not working. Moving past that leads to what the texts call a glorious release.
A release? How so?
Well, one person describes realizing someone is always there to share life's burdens with me. It's moving from constant fighting to being willing to, stop fighting and practice the rest of AA's program.
Like the ship captain analogy you used, stop steering into the storm and trust there's a better way.
Right. Drop the anchor, trust the pilot. That letting go, and letting God, or whatever your concept is, it leads to practical benefits too.
Like clearer thinking.
Yeah. The sources say you think more clearly and wisely, you can quickly let go of things that cause immediate pain and discomfort. It improves how your mind actually works.
How does that play out?
It's about learning to pause. Instead of just reacting, plowing on when you're agitated or confused, you learn to stop. Ask for help from your higher power, a friend, a sponsor.
Okay. Hit the pause button.
Exactly. That pause breaks a cycle. It allows for a clearer perspective, lets you release those troubling thoughts before they spiral. It counters that illusion of control we talked about.
Like the person controlling their drinking at the
You
party.
think only to reward themselves by getting drunk at home later.
Yeah.
It shows how deep that conditioning goes, believing alcohol is your friend. Willpower alone just dries up, as one source puts it. Letting go interrupts that. It's floating downstream instead of paddling furiously upstream.
Makes sense. And part of this acceptance is also about ourselves, right? Accepting our own flaws, being kinder to ourselves. Step 6 comes in here.
Yes, step 6 is huge for self-compassion. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. But crucially, it adds, if you aren't yet willing to let go of something, accept yourself anyway.
Wow, that's gentle.
Incredibly gentle and powerful. It says, trust that you'll be ready when the time is right. It directly counters that tendency to shame ourselves for not being perfect now.
Yeah, we can be really hard on ourselves.
Terribly hard. Step 6 encourages releasing guilt, confusion, and shame through gentle observation and self-acceptance. It connects to humility, not weakness, but realizing I am not the center of the universe.
Okay. Humility is right-sizing yourself.
Exactly. And that allows for patience. You don't have to suffer continual chaos to grow. Sometimes wisdom is just waiting for clarity or making a choice and seeing what happens instead of forcing things out of anxiety. It's meeting yourself where you are with kindness.
Okay, so we found some serenity. We've accepted what we can't change. Now the prayer shifts gears. Courage to change the things we can. This feels active. This is about doing something.
Absolutely. This is where we move from acceptance to action. It ties right into step 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. That decision, that turning over, is where the courage starts.
It's about willingness.
Willingness is key. And as one source puts it, willingness often starts with awareness, sure, but then comes a feeling of discomfort, making me want to take some action. That discomfort is the motivator.
Okay, so discomfort isn't necessarily bad here. It's a signal.
It's often a catalyst, yeah. It means you recognize something needs to change, and understanding alone isn't cutting it anymore. Time to act.
Which leads straight into step 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. That sounds intense, like auditing your soul.
It is intense, no doubt. It takes real courage. But the goal isn't self-flagellation. It's described as a positive learning process. It's about understanding the impact of your behavior on others, not just on yourself.
Moving beyond just thinking about yourself.
Precisely. Becoming able to take other individuals' feelings into account. Recognizing, as the texts say, that defective relations with other human beings are often the root cause of our problems, including addiction.
But it's hard to look at that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. There's often that indolent and obstinate tool part of us, as one source hilariously puts it, that just wants to avoid it, deny it, blame someone else.
Yeah, I know that tool.
Right. So fearless means really looking at the uncomfortable truths, our character defects, resentments, fears, the harm we've caused without blinking or making excuses, dismantling the stories we tell ourselves.
Okay, so you do the inventory. Then what? Courage moves into making amends, right? Steps 8 and 9, and you said amend means more than just sorry.
Exactly. Amend means to change or improve. It's about restoration, not just apology. Step 8 is making that list. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all.
Willingness again?
Willingness is crucial. This is a key area because, again, those defective relations cause so much pain. It's about taking responsibility, wanting to repair the damage.
You mentioned a story about Mary Lynn.
Yeah, a powerful example. She had to wait 10 years for her family to be ready to even talk about some really painful stuff from her past and for them to be able to accept her amends.
10 years. That takes courage and incredible patience.
Doesn't it? It shows amends aren't just about us getting closure. We have to respect the other person's timing and readiness. But acknowledging your part, even if the other person shares blame, that's key for your own peace and serenity, cleaning up your side of the street.
Okay, then step 9 is actually doing it.
Yeah.
Made direct amends wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others.
Yeah.
That, except when, seems really important.
Hugely important. This is where wisdom and courage really have to work together. It requires, as the sources say, good judgment, a careful sense of timing, courage, and prudence.
So it's not always straightforward.
Not at all. Sometimes amends are immediate. Sometimes they have to be partial or deferred. Sometimes direct contact is impossible or would actually cause more harm, maybe to the person, maybe to others involved.
Like reopening old wounds unnecessarily or revealing something that hurts someone else.
Exactly. The guiding principle is honesty, yes, but tempered with common sense and kindliness. You're not just trying to unburden yourself if it costs someone else dearly. The goal is genuine repair and reconciliation, prioritizing safety and kindness.
And this whole process helps end the isolation.
Profoundly. It's described as the beginning of the end of isolation from our fellows and from God. It reconnects you. It's actively shedding the weight of the past.
And this isn't a one-time cleanup. Step 10 suggests it's ongoing. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it, like daily maintenance.
That's exactly what it is. Step 10 is a maintenance step. Daily practice. Constant awareness.
How does that look? Day to day.
It's about catching yourself. Spotting that fucked up thinking and behavior, as one person bluntly puts it, and choosing to work the step right then, instead of letting your mind spin out into a synaptic tornado of potential fantasy.
Huh. Love that phrase. Synaptic tornado.
Me too. It's vivid. It means dealing with problems when they're small, still only slight irritations, not waiting for them to explode.
Like the dripping faucet analogy from Al-Anon.
Yeah.
Fix it before it floods the house.
Precisely. It's proactive living. Continuously, gently correcting course.
And part of that is consciously changing habits, right? Even small things like biting the cynical comment and saying something positive instead.
Yes, it's about retraining your brain, your attitudes, and it's also about rediscovering what actually brings you joy, finding your true enthusiasms.
Like the retreat leader asking, what makes you happy? Go play the piano if you loved it.
Exactly. Because real change, true sobriety, isn't just about stopping the negative. It's about actively inviting the positive back in, building a life so rich the old stuff loses its power.
Which leads to that distinction between abstinence and sobriety. They sound similar, but they're really different concepts in recovery.
Very different. Abstinence is just not doing the thing, not drinking, not using, whatever it is. Sobriety is deeper.
Like that college instructor you mentioned who couldn't imagine life, socializing, sleeping, sex without alcohol.
Right. She thought it enhanced her life. That shows the denial, the psychological grip. Sobriety isn't just removing alcohol. It's, as the source says, consciously choosing to remove alcohol from the equation and making proactive choices about what to invite back into your life.
So it's not just creating a void, it's actively filling it with something better.
Precisely. If the addiction was offering, say, biochemical substitutes for love, connection, vitality, and joy, then true change means finding the real deal, authentically.
Learning to cultivate confidence or relaxation or connection without the substance or behavior?
Yes. And the perspective shifts. Life doesn't feel bored or empty anymore. Instead, you find blissful sleep, greater focus, limitless presence, deep connection. You move from just getting by to building that life abundant in happiness, joy, and freedom. It's constructing a new reality.
Which brings us full circle to that final, maybe trickiest part. Wisdom to know the difference. This isn't like flipping a switch, right? It's more like developing an intuition.
Exactly. It's an ongoing learning process, constantly exploring and challenging my perceptions, developing, as you said, a really fine-tuned internal compass or radar.
How do you know? How do you tell the difference between what you can change and what you just have to accept?
Well, one Al-Anon member put it really well. They said, when there's a desperate urge to act, it is usually my will that is pushing, my ego wanting control. But when there's a calm certainty, it is usually God's or, your higher power's guidance, your intuition.
Ah, okay. Feeling frantic versus feeling calm and centered. That's a good clue.
It's a really helpful distinction. That discernment is the core of wisdom in daily life. It's what makes the serenity and courage parts actually work together effectively.
So how do you cultivate that calm certainty, that inner voice?
Yeah.
Especially when life is so noisy.
The sources emphasize quiet time. Clearing my mind and asking my higher power to guide me. This links directly to step 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact.
Praying for knowledge of His will and the power to carry it out.
Exactly. It's about nurturing that inner spiritual sense, that intuition, the voice of the soul, believing that guidance is available if you make space for it. Your connection deepens with practice, with sincere desire. It's about tuning out the static and listening inward.
But what if you listen and nothing? No clear sign, no calm certainty. Life's often gray, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the prayer's wisdom covers that too. It's very practical. One source says, basically, if you don't get a clear sign, what do? Sometimes I wait for clarity. I may share my confusion and ask for the wisdom of others, or I may just make a choice, take an action, and see what happens.
Okay, so it's not always passive waiting. Sometimes wisdom is trying something and learning from it.
Yes. It acknowledges that sometimes the only way to know is to act and observe the result. It ties into that one day at a time idea too. Don't get paralyzed trying to figure everything out perfectly beforehand.
Avoid those sabotage concepts.
Right. Trust the process. As another person shared, realizing my way has seldom worked in the past helps them let go and trust the inner voice that quietly nudges me. It's a mix of listening, seeking advice, and sometimes just taking a step forward.
This wisdom also applies to honesty, doesn't it? That Oxford group idea of absolute honesty tempered with common sense and kindliness. It's not just blurting out truths.
No, definitely not. That's a crucial piece of wisdom. It warns against flaunting honesty just to make yourself feel righteous, especially if you're telling someone a truth about themselves that's neither a sin of his nor our business.
Ooh, that's sharp. Stay in your own lane, basically.
Pretty much. It's about discretion, empathy, emotional intelligence. God-given discretion is better than our unloving determination to be honest at all costs, mostly other people's. Honesty without kindness can be a weapon. Wisdom knows when truth heals and when it harms.
The goal is connection and healing, not just being right.
Exactly. And that honesty has to apply inwardly too, even in recovery settings.
Yeah.
Someone talked about fudging my truth by a little or a lot in meetings.
Wow. Even there.
Yeah. And realizing later that lying about sobriety to sober people was just anathema. It shows how deep self-deception can run. The wisdom is applying that honesty rigorously to yourself, even when it's uncomfortable.
Confronting that infantile part of ego that wants to be king.
Right. That part that wants to run the show, assume directorship of the universe. Humility means deflating that gently, realizing you're not God.
And that allows you to actually accept help. Realizing an entity more powerful than I is willing to help me if I cease trying to play God myself.
Precisely. And it changes why you do things, especially helping others. Remember Dr. Bob telling that guy Oscar who was helping newcomers?
Yeah, what was that again?
Dr. Bob basically said, you think you're doing them a favor. No, you were doing this for yourself and they were doing you a favor.
Wow, that flips the script.
Totally. It means true service, wise service, has to be selfless. Not about your ego, not about feeling like a savior. It's about being part of that global sharing in AA, where the focus is mutual support, not individual heroism. It's knowing the difference between helping and controlling or seeking validation, being a channel, not the source.
Wow. Okay, that brings us to the whole prayer.
Yeah.
Serenity, courage, wisdom. It really is clear how they weave together, isn't it? It's not just three separate ideas, it's a whole system.
A truly profound, holistic framework, yeah, for navigating, well, everything life throws at you, moving towards a more engaged, fulfilling way of being.
It takes you, as one source said, from being a burden and a terror to myself.
To a life abundant in happiness, joy, and freedom. It's a massive internal shift, changing how you see everything. From fear to freedom, really.
But it's not like you arrive and you're done, right?
Yeah.
That daily reprieve idea seems critical.
Absolutely critical. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. It's not a permanent state you achieve. It's something you actively maintain.
How do you maintain it?
Well, one person compared it to physical fitness. Maintaining my spiritual condition is like working out every day. It needs consistent effort, prayer, meditation, conscious contact with your higher power, daily practice.
Like tending a garden, you said earlier.
Exactly. Nurturing it daily. Cultivating gratitude helps too, keeps the channel open for good things. It's ongoing work.
So definitely a journey, not a destination. And nobody has to be perfect.
Not at all. The sources are clear. The program doesn't demand that of anybody. Perfection isn't the goal. Progress is.
Spiritual growth is the aim, but it's steady, continuous.
Right. Spiritual acquisition must be followed by steady growth. The point isn't to reach some flawless state, but to keep engaging, to say yes to life, yes to God, yes to responsibility, to let life challenge you and keep growing through it. The beauty's in the ongoing process.
That's a great perspective. Which leads to a final thought for you, our listener.
Wow.
The universe, these writers, countless people, they learn to accept it. But how we accept it, that's the question. Are you like the Stoic Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, accepting things with resignation? Or more like Job, maintaining trust even through suffering? One source contrasted them beautifully.
Oh, I remember that quote. Powerful.
Yeah, it says, comparer really is saying basically, if the gods don't care, there must be a reason. With Job crying out, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. You feel the difference immediately. One is resignation, the other is passionate trust.
A profound difference in spirit. In the Serenity Prayer, it gives us the tools to choose our response every single day, not just to submit, but to engage actively with acceptance, courage, and that hard-won wisdom. How you choose to face it all. That's your freedom.
A powerful choice indeed. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep seeking that wisdom.